He charmed the office while I did his work. One day I put the pen down and said no. And that choice exposed secrets that proved I was never just covering for him. I was being set up too. At first, it was harmless. Just a few late arrivals here and there. 10 minutes one day, 20 the next. You figure, whatever, maybe he has kids, or maybe traffic is rough. Everyone deserves some grace, right? But this was not grace. It was a pattern. And somehow, every time Logan was not around, the weight of keeping things running landed square on my shoulders. It started small. A quick favor. Hey, Mike, can you just sign off on this for Logan? He is running late, but should be here any minute. I said yes the first time. I always say yes. It is a bad habit I picked up from trying to be the reliable one. You know, early to work, polite in emails, keeps the peace. I thought I was helping the team. That was the lie I told myself. But it did not stop there. Logan kept showing up late, and the team kept turning to me like I was the unofficial stand-in. By the second week, it was not even a question. They just dropped reports on my desk with a post-it that read Logan's. Need this reviewed ASAP. His work. My accountability. And the worst part? He would show up eventually, all charm and smiles, holding some iced drink like he had just wrapped up a yoga class instead of leaving half his responsibilities on someone else's back. I owe you one, Mike, he would say, like that cleared the slate. But one never turned into two, and two never got paid back either. I started keeping track, not because I wanted revenge or anything, at least not then, but because it felt like I was going crazy. I wrote down the times, the favors, the things I had to cover for, week after week. It read like a growing debt that only I noticed. Tuesday, he was 34 minutes late. I answered 3 of his client calls. Wednesday, he skipped the morning sync entirely. I had to present his slide deck, which I had not even seen before walking into the room. No apology. Just that same cocky grin and how'd I do? I laughed the first time. A dry, polite chuckle to mask the rage crawling up my spine. But inside, I was already cracking. Still, I said nothing. Because saying something meant rocking the boat, and I had always been taught to keep things smooth. Especially at work. Until one morning, something snapped. It was 8:47 a.m. I remember the exact time because my screen was still showing the login timestamp. I had just finished reviewing a report that was supposed to be signed by Logan the day before. We needed it for a noon presentation with the client. The same client who had already flagged our team twice for missed deadlines. I walked over to Janine, our team lead, and dropped the file on her desk. Told her I could not sign it. Her eyes narrowed like I had just declared war. Why not? You always handle it. And that was the moment. The moment I realized how deep I had sunk. I said 6 words I had never said before. Because it is not my job. She stared at me. I stared right back. And then, her phone rang. She picked it up. Her face turned pale. I could hear the voice on the other end. It was the client. They were already on the call. And Logan? He was nowhere in sight. Janine slammed the receiver down like it had personally offended her. He was supposed to be on that call, she muttered, eyes darting to the glass wall behind her, where the client's name was still glowing on the conference screen. Where the hell is he? I just stood there, silent, not smug, not angry, just hollow. Because that right there, that was the moment I had seen coming for months. The moment when the truth finally outran the excuses. She looked at me like I was supposed to do something. Like I was the damn cleanup crew again. Mike, can you just? No, I said, flat and even. Just that. One word. But it felt like a sledgehammer. Her mouth opened, then shut. She was not used to hearing no from me. No one was. I turned around and walked back to my desk. Sat down like nothing happened. But inside, my chest was on fire. You want to know what I was thinking? I was thinking about all the times I had said yes when I should have said nothing at all. Like last quarter, when Logan showed up 40 minutes late to the performance review meeting. I had prepped his numbers. I had built his damn charts. And when the director asked for Logan's insights, guess who had to jump in and explain it all? Me. I remember Janine turning to me after the meeting and saying, "You really saved him there." That was smooth. Saved him? I had just handed him credit he did not earn, while my own review said I needed to show more initiative. Then there was that team lunch last month. Logan had promised to organize it. Got everyone hyped up. Even made a joke about booking a karaoke room. The guy had flair, I will give him that. But on the day of, he ghosted. Just never showed up. Texted Janine at 11:43 a.m. Hey, Emergency came up. Can Mike cover? And there I was, scrambling to make calls, fix the reservation, field the questions, and somehow still pay out of pocket because Logan forgot his card when he finally rolled in an hour later like nothing happened. Everyone laughed. Called him Classic Logan. I laughed too, and I hated myself for it. Back at my desk now, I stared at my screen, trying to focus. But the client call was still going. I could hear Janine's voice bleeding through the walls, tense and apologetic. I knew what she was saying. Technical difficulties. Small miscommunication. Logan will follow up personally. All lies. I pulled out my little notebook from the drawer. Yeah, I kept a paper log. Old habit from my last job, where CYA, cover your ass, was more than just a joke, it was policy. I flipped to the back, where I had written the date and time for every single favor, cover, or lie I had made for Logan Hart. There were 63 entries. 63 times I had stepped up, made the fix, put my name on the line. And Logan? He still got the same praise. Same paycheck. Probably even better performance scores because Janine had a soft spot for people who bring energy. That was her phrase. Energy. You know what I brought? Accountability. But that is invisible until it breaks. At 9:02 a.m., I got a ping. Janine, come by my desk when you get a sec. I took a deep breath, because I already knew what was coming next. I walked toward Janine's desk like I was heading into a courtroom. Only I already knew the verdict. Not guilty, but still somehow responsible. She did not look up at first, just kept typing. Then, without breaking rhythm, she said, "Close the door." Her office had one of those glass walls that made everything look open but felt like a fishbowl. I shut the door behind me and stood there, hands in my pockets, pretending to be calm. She finally stopped typing and turned to me. Her face was a mix of forced calm and low-key panic. "Mike," she started, her voice low. "I know today got off on the wrong foot, but we cannot afford to have gaps in client deliverables." I said nothing, just waited. She went on. "I get it. You are tired of picking up the slack. I am not blind. I know Logan has been inconsistent." That word, inconsistent, like it was some minor personality quirk. Like showing up late, skipping meetings, and dumping work on others was just a little creative flair. She leaned forward, elbows on the desk. "But you have to understand, he has got strengths in other areas." That was it. I almost laughed. Almost. I looked her dead in the eye and asked, "If I started showing up late, missing meetings, skipping signatures, would you call those strengths too?" She blinked. Just once. Then glanced at her screen. "Logan's got away with clients," she said, almost like she was trying to convince herself more than me. "He connects well, builds rapport." And then she hit me with it. "I need you to be the stable one, Mike. You keep the engine running. That is just who you are." Those words burned. Because here is what no one tells you. Being reliable becomes a trap. The more capable you are, the more invisible you become. And that morning, I had finally stopped being invisible, and it scared her. I could feel the next words forming in her throat. Something about teamwork. About doing what is best for the project. About letting it go again. But before she could speak, the door opened. Logan. He strolled in like it was just another Tuesday, holding a smoothie cup and grinning like a man who had never faced a consequence in his life. "Morning," he said, all breezy and casual. "Did I miss anything?" Janine stood up so fast her chair squeaked. She plastered on that fake boss smile like he had not just nuked a client meeting. I looked at her, then at him. Then I did something I had never done before. I took out my little notebook, flipped it open, and laid it gently on her desk. "What is that?" Logan asked, chuckling like it was a prank. I pointed at the top. "Your name. 63 times. Each time I had to cover for you. Read it if you want." He leaned in, still smirking, until he read the first entry. Then the second. Then he stopped. Janine's face had gone pale. I picked up my bag, slung it over my shoulder, looked them both in the eye, and said, "You can keep the notebook. I will be working from home today." Then I walked out of the room, out of the fishbowl, out of the expectations. But right as I stepped back to my desk to grab my charger, Logan's voice followed me. He was not laughing anymore. He was panicking. "Wait, Mike, what did you tell them? You did not CC anyone on that client email, right?" I turned around slowly, because he had just told me everything I needed to know. I did not say a word to Logan. I just stared at him. That blank kind of stare you give someone when they finally realize the house is on fire, and you are the one holding the extinguisher, and you are not moving. He took a step toward me. Mike, seriously, you did not tell management, right? That was the thing about Logan. Deep down, he always knew he was bluffing. He counted on charm, counted on everyone else doing the hard stuff while he coasted by. But charm has a shelf life, and that morning, it expired. I grabbed my charger and walked back to my desk. Fired off a one-line email to Janine. I will be remote for the rest of the day. Happy to discuss deliverables via Teams. Sent. As I packed up, my phone buzzed. Not an office text. Not even Janine. It was from someone I had not heard from in months. Derek McCall. Derek used to be on our team. He had been let go a while back in what they called a restructuring, but everyone knew it was personal. He had stood up to Janine once, pushed back in a meeting where she tried to pin a failed rollout on him. 2 weeks later, he was transitioned. His message was short. Just said, saw something this morning. You free to talk? I texted back. Call me. Now. 2 minutes later, I was outside, walking past the line of food trucks, phone to my ear. Derek's voice came through, low and cautious. He said he was working freelance now, consulting for a different branch of the company, one that still looped into our client database. Then he dropped the bomb. Logan submitted a time-stamped report to that client last week, Derek said. Only problem is, the file metadata says it was uploaded from your account. I stopped walking. What? I thought it was weird, he said. So I ran a check. It was your credentials, your device ID, but the style, everything, was Logan's. Then it hit me. There had been a day last week where I had left my desk unlocked for 5 minutes. Coffee run. Logan was the only one sitting near me. I felt something cold settle in my gut. Are you saying he forged my credentials? I asked. I am saying, Derek replied. You better start protecting yourself. I looked up at the building. The same glass walls. Same beige cubicles. Same people pretending everything was fine. But it was not. Not anymore. I thanked Derek, hung up, and opened my notes app. Wrote down the details. Then I took a screenshot of the last few lines of the notebook before heading home. But something still bothered me. Logan had panicked way too fast. This was not just a missed meeting or a forgotten report. He was scared, which meant there was something bigger I had not seen yet. And I was about to find out exactly what it was. I spent the rest of that morning sitting at my kitchen table, laptop open, coffee gone cold. My hands hovered over the keyboard, but my brain was still stuck back in that office, with Logan's voice cracking for the first time and Derek's warning echoing in my ears. There was more to this, so I started digging. Our system was cloud-based, thankfully. Everything tracked. I logged into the admin portal, something Janine had once granted me temporary access to when she was out sick and needed someone to fix a team setting. She never revoked it. Under the user activity logs, I filtered by my own username. There it was. Last Thursday, an upload to the client shared drive, file titled Q3_estimates_final. Time-stamped at 11:12 a.m. Only I was not at my desk at 11:12 a.m. I was in the break room with Nathan from IT, talking about the disaster that was our last team-building event. I pulled my badge swipe history to confirm it. Swiped into the break room at 11:05. Out at 11:19, which meant Logan had used my machine during that window. I clicked the file, checked the metadata. Last modified by Thompson. IP 10 22 47 61. Device ID mine. And then, buried in the comments section, was the real kicker. A note. All final figures approved by M. Thompson. My name. My approval. My signature, faked. He had not just uploaded the file using my account. He had framed it to look like I had signed off. And this report? It was not small potatoes. It was for one of our biggest clients. The one we had just barely kept after a rocky contract renewal. And then I remembered something else. Last week, Logan had pulled me aside in the elevator. Asked if I had seen the final Q3 estimates yet. I said no. He just nodded and said, all good, man. Already handled. I thought he meant Janine had signed it. But he had meant me. He was using my name as a shield. And the worst part? Janine had probably seen it too, and said nothing. That would explain the way she acted this morning. Not shocked. Just afraid I was finally noticing. I sat back in my chair, heart pounding. There was only one explanation. This was not the first time. I opened a second tab and pulled older logs. Filtered by my user ID. 4. For different reports. All uploaded while I was clocked out. 2 after I had already left for the day. He had been doing this for months. He was not just late. He was not just lazy. He was stealing my name, my work, and my credibility. And now, if something went wrong, if any of those reports failed audit, I would be the one holding the bag. That was when my phone buzzed again. This time, it was not a message. It was a calendar invite. Subject: Urgent discussion, Q3 report discrepancy. From HR. I stared at it. The meeting was scheduled for 3 p.m. Janine was on the invite. So was our director. Logan's name was not. And that was when I knew they were about to throw me under the bus. I accepted the calendar invite without a word. Just clicked yes, leaned back in my chair, and stared at the ceiling for a long time. 3 o'clock. That gave me 5 hours. 5 hours to either prepare for war or let them bury me under the mess someone else made with my name on it. I chose war. First thing I did, screen recorded everything. The logins, the IP addresses, the timestamps. I grabbed the swipe card history too, proof I was not at my desk during the uploads. I even found an old internal email where Janine asked me to cover a last-minute presentation during the exact window one of the forged reports had been uploaded. Perfect. Then I called Derek again, asked if he could send me the metadata files he pulled. No questions, just facts. He sent them within the hour, along with one sentence I will never forget. You are not the first person Logan tried this on. That part hit me like a freight train. Apparently, Logan had done something similar to a guy named Peter who left the company last year. Rumor was Peter had performance issues, missed a few deadlines, got written up. Now Derek was saying it was all based on data Logan had touched. But Peter was gone. Quiet exit. No drama. Probably signed some kind of NDA. Not me. I was going to make noise. At 2:59 p.m., I logged into the video call, turned my camera on, sat perfectly still in front of a blank wall. No smiles. No greetings. Janine joined first. Gave that polite, brittle smile that felt more like a threat. Then our director, Cameron. He always looked exhausted, balding, late 40s, with that permanent, please no surprises face. HR logged in last. Melissa. She looked concerned, but also rehearsed. She had papers. That was never a good sign. Cameron started. Said there were some questions about the Q3 report. Something about an internal flag from the finance department. Discrepancies between uploaded values and system calculations. Janine chimed in. Mike, your name is on the submission. We just want to give you a chance to explain. I took a breath. Then I shared my screen. First slide, badge swipe timestamps versus upload logs. Second slide, IP data and device activity. Third slide, a short screen recording of my desktop showing Logan's access while I was away. Fourth slide, the internal memo where Janine excused me from desk duties at the time of one submission. Fifth slide, Derek's report, redacted, but clearly indicating metadata inconsistencies tied to Logan Hart. I ended the share. Silence. Janine looked like someone had pulled the floor out from under her. Cameron blinked fast, mouth twitching like he wanted to say something but did not know where to start. Melissa from HR was scribbling notes. I said nothing, just waited. And then Melissa asked the question that changed everything. Janine, can you confirm who was physically present in the office at the time of these uploads? Janine hesitated, just for a second. Then she said, it would have been Logan. Melissa nodded. And has he ever been authorized to submit client reports under someone else's credentials? Janine shifted in her seat. Not formally. Informally. Janine looked trapped. We all help each other out sometimes. There it was. The first crack. I leaned forward, voice calm. You said earlier my name was on the submission. That is correct. But I did not write it. I did not approve it. And if I had not spoken up today, none of you would have noticed. I paused. Let it sink in. Or worse, you would have noticed and blamed me anyway. Melissa's eyes narrowed, not at me. At Janine. Cameron cleared his throat. We will review this in detail. Mike, thank you for bringing this to our attention. I nodded once, logged off without another word. But right before I closed the laptop, I saw it. An unread message. From Logan. You made a mistake. You think they will protect you? They will toss us both. You should have come to me first. But I had already made my choice. And it was too late for him. I sat in silence after that meeting, the hum of my laptop fan the only sound in the room. Outside, the world went on. Cars, kids, birds. But inside my apartment, everything felt paused. Like the moment before a storm hits, and you are just waiting. The HR meeting had gone better than expected, sure. But that message from Logan? It stuck with me. You think they will protect you? That was not a threat. That was a warning. And it came from someone who had been getting away with things for so long. He probably thought the system existed just to clean up his mess. And the worst part? Maybe he was not wrong. The next morning, I got a Teams message from Melissa. Please do not come into the office today. We are conducting an internal audit. We'll follow up shortly. Shortly turned out to be 6 hours. At exactly 3:17 p.m., I got the email. Subject: Internal investigation, status update. We appreciate your cooperation during our review. The investigation has confirmed that your credentials were used without your knowledge. The reports in question have been retracted and flagged for revision. This matter is now being escalated to our legal department for further action. Please be advised, do not delete any work-related files or communication. You are not under disciplinary review. Regards, Melissa, HR. So that was it. Officially, I was clear, but something still felt wrong. They were not done with me. I could feel it. And sure enough, at 6:02 p.m., I got another message. This one from Nathan. IT guy? Quiet. Always half buried in cables and sarcastic as hell. You didn't hear this from me, but you should check the shared drive. Folder path. Internal, archived, Teams, legacy, final_assets. No explanation. Just that. I opened it. Inside were dozens of folders. Old project backups. Random junk from Teams that no longer existed. But buried in the Q2_client_archive folder, I found a set of draft reports. Each one had 2 sets of metadata attached. The original author and the final submitter. In at least 8 of them, Logan had overwritten someone else's work. Files created by other team members, mostly junior analysts, then re-uploaded with Logan's name on the file history. One of the names? Peter, the guy who got let go. Another name? Dina. She left 2 months ago. Quiet exit. Said she was moving cities. No goodbye lunch. No LinkedIn post. Just gone. And then, the biggest twist of all. One of the files had Janine's name as the original author, and Logan's as the submitter. I sat back, eyes wide, because it meant one of 2 things. Either Logan had forged Janine's name too, or she knew. She knew and let it happen. Maybe more than once. I did not know which version was worse. That night, I did not sleep much. Kept going back over the files, over the timestamps, over the quiet resignations that suddenly made sense. This was not a one-off mistake. It was a system, a pipeline of quiet blame shifting, file swapping, and people like me, people who did not play the game, being lined up for the fall. And now, the company was sitting on a pile of digital proof. They would either act fast, or they would cover it up. But either way, I had leverage, and I was going to use it. The next morning, I woke up with that heavy clarity you get when a choice has already been made for you, even if you have not said it out loud yet. I opened my inbox. Still no direct message from Janine. No apology. No explanation. Just silence. Corporate silence. The kind that means lawyers are in the room now. The kind that waits you out, hoping you cool off, hoping you fade. But I had not come this far to fade. I opened LinkedIn. Updated my profile to open to work. Not subtle. Just loud enough. Then I took a breath. And I hit publish on a post I had spent the whole night writing. No names. No slander. Just the truth. For anyone wondering what happens when you speak up at work, when you stop carrying someone else's load, stop signing your name to their mess. Here's my story. I spent months covering for a colleague who made lateness a habit and accountability a myth. I let it slide until I found my name on reports I never wrote, with numbers I never touched, tied to clients who now had questions. And when I raised the alarm, the same people who relied on me to keep things afloat tried to float the blame right back. But this time, I kept receipts. Being the reliable one only works until you realize reliability without boundaries is just quiet self-destruction. Say no. The softest no can be the loudest thing you ever do. Because I said no once, and it changed everything. I did not expect much. Maybe a few likes, a couple comments from old coworkers. But within the hour, it exploded. DMs, shares, comments from strangers saying they had lived the same thing. People I had not heard from in years messaging me, saying, I remember that guy. Logan, right? He was always a talker. By noon, a recruiter had messaged me. By 2, someone from legal at my own company had scheduled a follow-up. By 4, Cameron, the director, called me directly. He sounded tired. Less guarded now. Mike, he said. You should know. Logan has been suspended pending further review. Janine is also under internal audit. I just listened. He paused, then added, the board read your post. That caught me off guard. The board? He sighed. The timing was unfortunate. We were in talks with a major client. They saw the post. They asked questions. I did not say anything. I just let the silence grow uncomfortable. Then he said the line I had been waiting for. We would like to offer you a new role. Oh, there it was. Not accountability. Damage control. I told him I would think about it. We both knew what that meant. I hung up, and then I messaged Derek. Told him everything. He just replied with 2 words. Told you. They sent a formal offer the next morning. A shiny title, more money, hybrid flexibility. Some made-up role, senior quality liaison. Like they hoped a fancy name would patch the cracks they tried to bury me under. I read the email 3 times. Then I deleted it. Because by now, I had learned something no promotion could erase. If you reward silence, you stay complicit. I was done with that. By noon, I got a second message, this time from Janine. No subject line. No greeting. Just, you should have come to me first. We could have figured it out. You know I always supported you. I stared at those words, trying to decide if I was more insulted or amused. Supported me? She had used my reliability like a shield, held it up when things got tough, and the moment the arrows came flying, she stepped behind me and let them hit. I typed a reply, deleted it, typed it again. You supported me as long as I stayed quiet. That is not support. That is use. I hit send, not out of anger, but clarity. That afternoon, Logan's LinkedIn went dark. Account deactivated. Word got around that he had been let go. Janine, meanwhile, was put on extended leave. Not fired. Not yet. Companies like ours never do it publicly. They just let people fade out with a quiet press release and a boxed-up desk. But there was one more twist. That evening, I got an email. Not from HR. Not from Cameron. From Peter. Yeah, the guy who had left voluntarily last year. His message was short. Blunt. No small talk. Saw your post. Figured someone would finally crack the game open. Logan submitted a report under my name, too. Janine covered it up. Legal threatened me if I went public. I signed the NDA, but I kept everything. Screenshots, time logs, messages. You interested in blowing this wider? That was when I realized. I had not been the first, but I might be the last. We talked that night. Compared notes. It was all the same pattern. Same abuse of trust. Same manipulations. Same silence. And now, we had the receipts. I did not want revenge. I just wanted truth. I wanted peace. But mostly, I wanted to never again be the guy who said yes to things that deserved a no. Because this job, this company, it taught me something hard. When you cover for someone else long enough, people stop seeing the cracks and start blaming you for the whole damn collapse. The next morning, I sent in my resignation. Short, direct, effective immediately. Thank you for the lessons, both the ones you taught and the ones I had to learn on my own. Mike Thompson. No drama. No final words. Just freedom. It has been 3 months since I walked away. No farewell party. No handover. No emails filled with emojis and empty promises to keep in touch. Just me, a backpack, and the sound of the office door closing one last time behind me. For the first week, I slept. Not metaphorically, I mean really slept. The kind of deep, honest rest you only get when your nervous system is no longer bracing for the next lie you will be asked to co-sign. Then I got to work, real work. Freelance contracts came quick, faster than I expected. Word gets around when you leave with your head held high and your receipts sorted. Funny thing is, some of the same people who once looked through me in meetings now message me for help. Hey Mike, got a tricky report. Wonder if you have time for a quick consult. I help when I can, but only on my terms. Because I learned something back there, in the hallways of that glass-paneled office where I signed off on other people's messes. Being the dependable one means nothing if it comes at the cost of being the invisible one. For years, I thought saying yes meant being a team player. I thought swallowing frustration was maturity. I thought keeping quiet was professionalism. But no, it was enabling. It was slow-motion self-erasure. Every time I covered for Logan, every time I fixed Janine's mess, every time I kept the machine humming while everyone else clocked out, I thought I was doing the right thing. But the truth? All I was doing was burying my own effort to keep someone else's image alive. That final day, 8:47 a.m., when I said no for the first time, I did not know it would change my life. It was just one word, a quiet refusal. But that single no echoed louder than 100 yes. It made people turn. It made them notice. It forced a system to reveal its cracks. Because when the guy who always holds the weight suddenly steps back, the whole structure shakes. And sometimes, that is what it needs. Now, I do not cover unless I believe in the work. I do not co-sign unless I trust the intent. And I do not stay quiet just to keep someone else comfortable. You can call it selfish. I call it honest. So if you are reading this, maybe stuck in a job where you are playing the same role I did, signing the same reports, answering for someone else's late again, just know, you are not crazy. You are not weak. And you are not obligated to keep playing a part in someone else's broken story. Sometimes the most powerful thing you will ever do is stop showing up for a lie. That is what I did. And I have never been more at peace.